Welcome to my Asshole Podcast. Let's get into it. Welcome to my Asshole Podcast. It is a beautiful Thursday episode. The episode you guys all love and been waiting for. I know I have. It is King of Wrath Day. Woo! This book been pretty interesting. It is a book that's been on my list for a hot minute, and I have been ready for this one. I ain't gonna lie to you. I can't wait until it gets a little more juicy and a little more, if you know what I mean. Super excited about that. But, Anna Huang, she is the master of suspense and tension building, which I absolutely love. So, it is what it is, and it's worth the wait. So, we're going to be having chapters, I believe, 7 and 8. Maybe 7, 8, and 9, depending. We'll see. All right. But before we get into today's book, we have our thread. Today's thread is a good one. It is, who is someone you have slept with that no one can know? Ooh. All right. Let's see. So who is someone you have slept with that no one else can ever know? My year 10 English teacher, but it was 10 years later after a school reunion. That must be crazy. I wonder if they still do school reunions, because I ain't gonna lie to you. Your boy has got a teacher in mind that I'm like, back in the high school days, she was kind of... It sucks though, because I would have already passed my 10-year high school reunion thing, if they even do that, But yeah, man, dude, how did you patent that? You know what I mean? How did you patent that? Because damn, because as a high school boy, when you find an attractive female teacher. Oh, man, you think about it all the time. You like, yeah, if she would just let me, I would all day, third day. Oh, man. And then to get it to 10 years later, you know what I mean? Sheesh. Oh, living the dream, brother. All right, who is someone you have slept with that no one can know about? My best friend's sister. Oh, look, bro. I don't think I could ever sleep with my best friend's sister, and I've told him this multiple times. I was like, bro, there's no way I could ever be with your sister, because literally, if I'm being honest with you, my best friend Alex, he has an older sister. His older sister is a beautiful woman, but the thing is it's like his face on a female body. And I just would not be able to do it, man. I would not be able to do it. It would, oh my God. It would be like looking into the face of my best friend while I'm pounding that coochie. I would not be able to do it. My dick would get soft so fast. So fast, man. Oh, I don't know how y'all be doing the whole best friend sister thing. I don't know how, bro. Used to spend the night often at my best friend's house, as he had a pool, hot tub, trampoline, and super cool parents who didn't really care what we did. One weekend, I got up in the middle of the night to get some water, and I received a text from her asking if it was me in the kitchen. I said yes, and she responded, "Come to my room. I need to tell you something." Oh, shit. I go in her room, and we start talking, and that evolves to making out, and then to her blowing my penis. It went on for a long time, and that evolved to having sex every time I went over. Did it for years, and my buddy never knew. Oh, bruh. I think it's even worse that your homie didn't know. That's kind of fucked up. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Because, I would want to know. Would I be upset? Sure. Not enough to the point where I'm like, I don't want to be your friend anymore. Because, look, I get it, it is what it is. But at the same time, it would be a thing where I'm just like, I want to at least know. You know what I mean? Like, I want to at least know, just because it's like, bro, that's my sister, man. Like, damn. Woo, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy. Who is someone you have slept with that no one can that no one can know about? I was at a party and there was a cute, if somewhat sleepy looking girl who caught my attention. As a host, I was making my rounds as a social butterfly, yet she somehow kept ending up somewhere within my line of sight. And at several points made eyes at me. Thinking all engines were go, I brought her a drink, struck up a conversation, and things progressed really rapidly after that. As we were having our fun, it occurred to me that I was doing all the work, but thinking she might just be a boring lay, and I keep going. She noticed and apologized for her lack of energy. I asked if she wanted to take a break or a coffee or something, to which she replied, "Oh, no, it's just the cancer."
Stop the cap.
Not the cap, sorry, I meant to... What? It's just the what? That honestly would throw me for a loop. I would be like, huh? The what now? Hold on, you can't just drop that in casual conversation. Like, oh yeah, it's just the cancer, casual cancer. Like, bro, you can't just drop that on me. That's crazy. I don't have as much energy as I used to. She went on to explain that she had only months left to live and that she was out with friends who knew of her condition. She just wanted to have fun before the end, tick off a couple bucket list items, and asked if I could keep going because, in her words, sorry, but you're probably going to be my last and I don't want it to end so boring. I'll admit the revelation was a huge mood killer, and I kind of didn't want to continue, but I was also a horny 26-year-old, and I took this as a sacred mission. Being her last romp and wanted to try everything, and I complied with maximum effort. She swore me to secrecy after the deed was done. Sorry. She swore to, we had several mutual friends and she didn't want them to know, fucking a rando was on her list, nor have me branded as the guy who fucked a terminal cancer patient. Hey, look, she asked for it, all right? So it's okay. I heard through the grapevine she passed a few months after, and I felt conflicted for months whether I should tell somebody. To this day, I've never told a person in my real life, but nearly 20 years later, I still think about her often. Man, that's crazy. I mean, at the same time, though, I believe you did a good thing, man. I do believe you did a good thing. Why? Because you gave that girl one last good, like, hoorah, because it's the least you could do. You know what I mean? It's the least you can do. She looks at it like, I'm trying to get some bucket list shit off my list, bucket list items off my list. You're down. Let's do it. I think I would do that. I would probably tell people. I don't think I'd be too ashamed. I'd probably have to wait until she passes away. Then I would tell people. You know what I mean? If I'm being honest with you. But I would tell people. Just because it's like, that's like a one in a lifetime kind of thing. Like, not everybody can say that they were able to give a girl who had terminal cancer the ride of her life before she left, Like, not a lot of people could say that, if I'm being honest with you. All right. Who is someone you have slept with that no one can know about? A sports celebrity. She insisted, but I was massively outclassed, like a game when you accidentally wander into a high-level dungeon far too early. Whoa. I mean, but at the same time, bro, that's a W. That's a hella W. I wouldn't care. See, look, I said this on a previous show. I can't remember if I said it on the Patreon episode or on the Tuesday episode, but I don't believe in leagues. All right, I don't believe in this whole like, oh, she's out of my league, he's out of my league, oh, this person's in my league, whatever. I don't believe all that bullshit. I look at it like if you just have an attraction towards people, you just naturally have an attraction towards them. Like, I don't believe that attraction is something you can choose. I think it's just a natural thing. You're just naturally attracted to the people that you're attracted to. And for her, she looked at it like, you're the guy that I'm attracted to. Because there are some girls that are like super hot and they're just naturally attracted to like super, not good looking, nerdy, skinny dudes. They just like that shit. They're like, bro, that's just my shit. I see them and I'm like, yes. And obviously, these guys aren't good with women, but they kind of look at it like it is what it is. I'll do all the talking. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's just one of those things where it's like, dude, you're attracted to who you're attracted to. I just don't believe in leagues. I really don't. And so for you to get this sports celebrity chick to want to sleep with you, man, hey, W, bro. W, man, because, hey, you never know. You might be her exact type. It's just, obviously she kind of looks at it like, hey, look, for like appearance sake, I can't be running around with Lorando, but for the most part, you the type of dude I'm trying to, do the thing with, Hey, again, bro, W. That was a W. I ain't gonna lie to you. Oh shit, hold on. Okay. Who is someone you have slept with that no one can know about? I slept with the neighborhood bully's sister on the bleachers at the college baseball field 35 years ago. Bro, imagine fucking the high school bully's sister, bro. Like, yeah, that's why I fucked your sister, man. Hey, that right there is how you get past the bully, man. Damn, if he ain't got a sister, well, then you're kind of screwed. But if he's got a sister, yeah, fuck her, man. You know what I mean? Sell her a dream, like totally break her heart. It'd be worth it. It'd get at him so good. Either that or like stay with her and be like, yeah, man, one day we're going to get married, bro. And you're going to be my brother-in-law, my guy. Hey, bro, that would tick him off like crazy, son. Oh my God, it would tick him off like crazy. Like, man. But I mean, just the fact that you fucked her, it's like, hey, W, baby. All right, who is someone you have slept with that no one can know about? My boss's executive assistant at the office. Technically, there was no sleeping. Ooh. That's crazy. I mean, you would think she's sleeping with her boss. You know what I mean? You would think, but she's like, nah. She was like, I couldn't get to the boss. I guess, he decided to stay loyal. He doesn't fuck his assistants. So she was just like, all right, then I'm going to find one of my senior guys out here. What's up? How you doing? Because, I mean, in one of those types of job fields and situations, all of them niggas make money. So, you know what I mean? She was winning regardless. It's not like she was losing to any capacity. Like, come on now. You know what I mean? Like, regardless, she gonna find her a man to make some money. Yeah, like, come on now. All right, who is someone you have slept with that no one can know about? I had an amazing one-night stand as a student. Years later, I was working in social care, and she was a client's social worker. We had to work together for the next 10 months. Wow. That must have been quite the experience. Imagine, like, meeting some random girl at a bar or something like that. You guys click, connect, have a little one-night stand thing, and then she becomes your coworker. And you're like, oh, hey, it's good to meet you. You know what I mean? Pretending like you don't know her and shit. Yeah, you know what I mean? Acting like, the one night stand that you guys shared, the fucking intimate moment and all that kind of stuff. Like, I totally know your name. I know what you look like naked. You know what I mean? Like, all of that. I have to just, like, pretend like I don't know it. And, I mean, at that point, I would just be like, all right, look, we got a date now. You know what I mean? Like, Either that or we can keep the whole, little friends with benefits train rolling, because it's like, come on now. You know what I mean? Come on now. Hey. Gotta do it. All right. Who is someone you have slept with that no one can know about? Not me, but my best friend. When she was 30, she slept with a guy she liked a couple of times. He had told her he was in his early 20s. She ended up getting pregnant and told him. He then proceeded to tell her he was actually 17. No. She was 30, thinking homeboy was in his early 20s. She got pregnant by this dude. And then he's like, oh, wait, I'm like 17. Oh, no. Oh, bruh. She fucked up. Oh, man. I bet she was so mad. Oh, I bet she was so pissed. Like, you fucking bastard. You led me on and made me believe that you were, oh, bruh. Because man's ain't got no job. He can't support none of that. He can't pay child support. He can't do that. He's a minor. She can't tell anybody. You know what I mean, bro? Woo! Damn, she fucked herself good, bro. I wonder if she terminated the pregnancy. Because if I'm being honest with you, I feel like that would be the only way. Like, bro, he's a minor. He can't do anything. Damn, that one's crazy. All right, who is someone you have slept with that no one can know about? Another dude crazy friend of mine who used to be a dick and make comments about my weight when I was fat, lost over 100 pounds, and banged out his sister. Oh. So homeboy got in the gym, got skinny, and then he fucked fucked homeboy's sister, and was just like, yeah, bitch, who's the fat Kyle now? You know what I mean? Oh, hey. Honestly, that is a good example right there of why, like, bullying and holding people accountable and making fun of people is a good thing. You know what I mean? Hey, it made homeboy change his life because he was getting bullied. I got bullied in school. I ain't gonna lie to you. I got bullied in school. Definitely changed my life. You know, and it changed it for the better. It made me, not only a stronger, thicker skinned person, but it also made me realize, like, my inadequacies. Like, a lot of times when bullies point shit out, a lot of times it's shit that you can easily fix, and I wouldn't say fix, but like improve upon. And when you do, then it's just like you're almost taking the power away from the bully, improving yourself in a way. And I know that's how it was for me, because I always used to be a skinny kid. I was always a skinny kid. I was always the shortest kid. I mean, I can't change my height, but I can always, change my physique and how I look in that aspect. And, once I started to kind of take shit seriously and have a better physique, it was a thing where, people couldn't really bully me anymore, because I was just like, yeah, motherfucker, I ain't that popsicle, stick motherfucker you used to make fun of, you know what I mean? And so it's like, I'm kind of an advocate when it comes to the bullying only makes you better, you know what I mean? It gives you that thick skin. It makes you improve, just to, like, challenge and get back at them. You know what I mean? And that's definitely what this guy did. I mean, he took it a step further and fucked his sister, but I mean, hey, you got to do what you got to do, you know what I mean? When the chips fall in the right place, they fall in the right place, I'm just saying. Homeboy saw his opportunity and he shot. All right, this is going to be our last one for this thread. Who is someone you have slept with that no one can know about? All right. After a few years after my dad and mom got divorced, I went on a road trip with just my dad and I. It was just after college, so I was like 22, 23 at the time, and my dad was in his early 50s. We stopped overnight in one town where my dad had acquaintances and friends, and that night we had dinner with two ladies, one in her mid-30s and the other in her mid-40s. Anyway, Everything was fine, and I could tell the younger one liked me by the attention she was giving me. Oh, baby. She invited me to go to the bar afterwards, and long story short, we ended up having the good old Smexy time that night at her place. The next morning at the hotel my dad and I were staying, I told my dad I needed to run some errands, work out at the gym, check my email at the internet cafe. It was the early 2000s, and I'd be gone for a few hours, and I'd meet him back at the room around noon for lunch. I finished around 11 a.m. or so and went back upstairs, and obviously I have a key to the hotel room, and opened the door and caught a glimpse of the same girl that I slept with that night before on top of my dad in his bed. Oh shit. I walked out immediately and went downstairs and texted my dad I was waiting for him there. The three of us had lunch together after, but it's never been brought up, and I never saw that girl again. That's crazy. She was like, I gotta test drive both models to see which one I want. That's wild. She was out here test driving dick like she was test driving a car. You know, trying to see which one she was going to buy. She was just like, let me see. The young stallion with the stamina or the old guy with the experience? I don't know. That's a tough choice. Let me go ahead and test drive both of them to see which one I like. That's crazy, bro. That is crazy. Woo! Hey. You know, hey, man, it be what it gon' be sometimes, you know? And be what it gonna be sometimes. But that's gonna go ahead and be the end of that thread, man. I hope you guys enjoyed that wild ride of a thread. Wow, you guys are insanity. I love threads like this where y'all just be coming out of the crazy woodwork on it. And that's what I love about this podcast, man, is that people from all walks of life and all over the world can just literally come together and bring their stories, and I read them out and share them with the peoples. It is so awesome. That's what I love about this podcast is I learn so much. It makes me realize that the world is so much bigger than the bubble that I live in or the bubble that you live in. You know what I mean? It's amazing to me. I absolutely love that about this podcast. Oh my God, man. Insanity. All right, we're gonna hop through announcements, and then we're gonna get right into our book. All right, patreon.com/Am I the Asshole Podcast. Get an exclusive episode every single Friday, as well as being able to send in your scenarios to be featured on the Tuesday and Sunday show. All right, if you want to get on Patreon and you want to kind of see what it's like, we are running a 7-day free trial, so you can go over there, sign up for a 7-day free trial, get full access, and if it's for you, then go ahead and pay the $3 a month. If it's not for you, you can go ahead and cancel the 7-day free trial. It is all free, no hassle, no worry, all that good stuff. All right. Yes, definitely go check that out. Audio listeners, thank you guys so much for all of the downloads and support you have been showing. It has been amazing. Thank you guys so much. I've been, keeping good track of the numbers, and I have been noticing that we have been making a change. So I changed the upload time for the podcast. The upload time is now like kind of midnight of like Tuesday and then midnight of Thursday. And I've noticed that that actually works out better for my across the pond audience, mainly UK and Europe as well as Australia. You guys are like my UK audience and European audience. You guys will get the episode at 8 o'clock in the morning. And then our Aussie friends, they get the episode at 5 p.m. So it's like a good bit of time. The people in the US, they'll wake up to the episode already out because it came out during midnight. If you're a night owl, you'll see the episode before anybody else does because you're up all night. So that I think the upload time that we have now, I think is really working for you guys, and I think you guys are really enjoying it, and it is cause for more people to see the episodes as well as more people to download the episodes and all that good stuff. So I do love that. I do appreciate that, and just keep supporting the show, downloading, ratings 5 stars. That helps out so much. All right. If you want to help out even more, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, as well as YouTube. Okay. Subscribing to us on YouTube helps out a lot. We also do live streams as well. So on TikTok and YouTube, you can catch all of the live streams. YouTube, I'm also doing YouTube short streaming as well as regular streaming. I've noticed that there are some people that love the YouTube short streaming. And yeah, man. So there was a lot of you guys in there in one of my streams. You guys came in there and was like, hey, how's it going? Oh my God, I watch you all the time. And so that's awesome. I do appreciate that. I thank you guys so much for all the support, man. You guys are the real goats. Keep coming out to the streams and hanging out with your boy and talking shit, talking whatever, getting to know me, getting to know you. I'm down for it all, man. Okay? So love you guys. Appreciate all of that. If you want to follow on Twitch or Kick, you totally can too, if those are preferred platforms for you. I try to be everywhere, so that way no matter what you guys like to consume your content on, you can consume it there. Okay, so yeah, that is announcements. Let's get you guys on over to the book and let's do the dang thing. Okay, so I'm gonna move you guys on over here.
Chapter 6. Dante. I sent Vivian the information she needed for her move at precisely noon on Sunday, not out of fear she'd cause a scene in front of my building, but out of reluctant admiration for the stunt she'd pulled at my exhibition. It turned out the delicate little Rose had some steel in her spine after all. The following weekend, Vivian showed up at my house again, this time with an army of movers in tow. Greta, my housekeeper, and Edward, my butler, took charge of guiding the movers through the apartment while I led Vivian to her room. Neither of us spoke, and the silence expanded with each step until it became a living, breathing entity between us. Annoyance wormed its way into my chest. Vivian had been perfectly friendly to Greta, Edward, and the rest of my staff, whom she'd greeted with warm smiles and fucking cookies from Lavin. But when she got to me, she'd shut down, like I was the one moving into her house and disrupting her carefully planned life. Like I was the one who'd showed up uninvited at her party, wearing an outfit that could send a man to his fucking knees. A week later, the image of that black dress clinging to her curves was still ingrained in my mind, as was the fire in her eyes when she'd laid into me. There was none of that fire now. Vivian was the picture of cool elegance walking next to me, and it pissed me off for no explicable reason. Or maybe my ire had something to do with the fact that, even in a casual blouse and skirt, her presence awoke an unwanted heat in my gut. My body had never reacted so viscerally to anyone before, and I didn't even fucking like her. We stopped in front of a carved wood door. "This is your room?" I'd set her up in the farthest suite from mine, and it was still too close. "Greta will unpack for you later." My voice sounded abnormally loud after the oppressive quiet. One of her brows rose.
Separate rooms until marriage. I didn't realize you were such a traditionalist.
I didn't realize you were so eager to share a bed with me. A small smirk curved my mouth when Vivian's cheeks pinked. It was her first loss of composure all morning.
I didn't say I wanted to share a bed with you,
she said coolly.
I simply pointed out the outdatedness of your thinking. Sleeping in separate rooms is for married couples who are fighting, not newly engaged couples who are supposed to be in love. Word will get out. People will talk.
It won't, and they won't. My household staff had been with me for years and prided themselves on their discretion. If they do, I'll take care of it, but since we're on the subject of public image, we should establish the boundaries of our relationship.
Communication. I do believe you're finally graduating from the Neanderthal stage of your life.
I ignored her wry insult and continued. In public, we'll play the part of a loving couple. We'll attend events together, smile for the cameras, and pretend we like each other. You'll also have full access to the Russo Group portfolio of brands. If you want anything from any of our collections, call my assistant Helena, and she'll take care of it. On your nightstand, you'll find her number, a black Amex, and your engagement ring. Wear it. The engagement announcement ran that morning. Vivian and I were officially tied together, which meant my reputation was also at stake. I didn't care whether people personally liked me, but public perception was important in my line of work. Obvious discord would raise too many questions, and the last thing I needed were nosy society columnists sniffing around.
A ring on my bedside table. How romantic.
Vivian touched the sapphire bracelet on her wrist.
You truly know how to make a woman feel special.
I'm not here to make you feel special. I dipped my head toward hers. The sweet, slightly tart scent of apples stole into my lungs as I enunciated my next words with crisp precision. I'm here because I made a deal with your father. Vivian didn't back away, but surprise and a hint of uncertainty surfaced in her eyes when I ran a leisurely knuckle over the gold chain around her neck. Even at this close a distance, her skin was flawless, like cream poured over silk. Long dark lashes framed deep brown eyes, and a tiny beauty mark, so small one would have to be as close as I was to see it, dotted the area above her lush lips. My eyes dipped to her mouth. The heat from my gut spread to my stomach. She wore the same lipstick from the exhibition, bold, red, and seductive, like a siren's call amidst a sea of tranquil calm. I wanted to rub my thumb across her bottom lip and smear her perfect lipstick until she was nothing more than a beautiful mess, to peel back the composed mask and see the ugliness underneath. Vivian may be wrapped in a pretty package, but a Lau was a Lau. They were all cut from the same mold. Don't expect dinner dates or sweet nothings at home, Miyakata, I said, my words as soft and lazy as my touch. You won't get either. Instead of touching her mouth, I skimmed the back of my hand across her collarbone, over the curve of her shoulder, and down her arm until it reached the frantic beat at her wrist. Get rid of any romantic notions you may have of us falling in love and living happily ever after. It won't happen. I pressed a thumb against her pulse, hard, and smiled when she jerked at the sudden rough movement. This is a business arrangement, nothing more. Are we clear? Vivian pressed her lips into a stubborn line. The air was alive with the crackle of electricity and animosity. It sizzled against my skin, drawing my muscles tight and fanning the strange, hungry fire in my stomach. When she remained mutinously silent, I reached up and closed my hand around her throat, lightly, just enough to feel the shallowness of her breaths. My voice dropped to a dangerous warning. Are we clear? Vivian's eyes flashed.
Crystal.
The promise of retribution lurked beneath her even reply. Good. I released her and stepped back with a mocking smile. Welcome home, sweetheart. I left without waiting for a response. The warmth of Vivian's skin lingered on my palm until I closed my hand around my lighter and let the cold metal chase away the remnants of her touch. Don't start, I said when I passed a frowning Greta. She was dusting in the sitting room, close enough to hear at least part of my conversation with Vivian. The movers must have already left.
You were too harsh,
she admonished, confirming my earlier suspicion. Greta was over 70, but her hearing gave bats a run for their money. Not harsh, honest. I checked my watch. I had a lunch meeting with a visiting CEO in 2 hours, and I needed to prep before I left. Would you rather I lead her on, indulge her childhood fantasies about Prince Charming coming in and sweeping her off her feet?
How do you know she has those fantasies?
Greta swept her duster over the fireplace mantel with more force than necessary.
She seems like the practical sort.
You met her half an hour ago. I couldn't believe I was arguing with my housekeeper over my fiancé. It must be those goddamned cookies Vivian bribed her with. Greta had a sweet tooth and a special fondness for chocolate chip.
I have good instincts when it comes to people. Otherwise...
Another aggressive sweep over the mantel.
I would have written you off as an overbearing clone of your grandfather years ago.
My face shut down. Remember who you work for, I warned, my tone dark.
Non osare farmi una ramanzina quanto sono stata io per lirti il culo da piccolo.
Don't lecture someone who changed your diapers.
If you want to fire me, fire me. But I know there's a heart in there somewhere, ragazzo mio. Use it, and treat your future wife with respect.
I gave her a black Amex and a diamond ring. Every woman would kill for those things, and they were more than Vivian deserved, considering who her father was. Greta stared at me for a full minute before she shook her head and muttered furiously in Italian under her breath. I couldn't hear what she was saying, but I imagined it was none too complimentary. I stopped next to Greta and placed a hand on the duster, forcing her to still. You're a valued member of my household, but there are only so many liberties I'll allow, I said coolly. If you'd like a vacation to clear your head, let me know, and it can be arranged. The threat hung in the air as an offer. Her eyes narrowed.
No vacation needed.
Good. Greta had worked for my family since I was a baby. She'd helped raise me and Luca since my parents were shit at the job, and she'd run my grandfather's household until I convinced her to work for me 4 years ago. Instead of being upset, my grandfather had gifted me a bottle of $10,000 wine for successfully undercutting him. While I had a soft spot for Greta and considered her the grandmother I never had, both of my biological grandmothers died before I was born, I would not tolerate blatant disrespect. If she were anyone else, I would have fired and blacklisted her the second the word harsh left her mouth. A polite cough pulled my attention toward the doorway, where Edward stood with a neutral expression. "Sir, the movers have officially vacated the premises," he said. "Would you like me to give Ms. Lau the full tour?" I'd taken Vivian directly to her room without showing her the rest of the house. Hell, she'd already seen half of it at last week's exhibition. "Please do." She should know the apartment's full layout. I didn't want her accidentally wandering into my room or office. He inclined his head and disappeared down the hall. Greta marched past me and disappeared into another corner of the penthouse without a word, but her disapproval lingered like the scent of her favorite lemon-scented cleaner. I pinched the bridge of my nose. Less than an hour after moving in, Vivian was already causing chaos. Discord with my staff was only the start. She would move things around, disrupt the environment I'd carefully cultivated. I would come home not knowing what to see or expect. Aggravation rose in my chest. I stalked out of the living room and into my office, where I attempted to review the materials for my meeting. But even though I'd closed the door and was sequestered on the opposite side of the house from Vivian's room, I still smelled the faint, maddening scent of apples.
Chapter 7. Vivian. I was a law-abiding citizen, but if anyone could drive me to mariticide, it was my future husband. I hated his arrogance, his rudeness, and the mocking way he called me mia cara. I hated the way my pulse kicked at the rough span of his hand around my neck. And I hated how he always seemed larger than life, like the molecules of any space he entered had to fold in on themselves to accommodate him. "Are we clear?" His maddening voice echoed in my head. It was clear, all right. It was clear Dante Russo was Satan in a nice suit. I forced my lungs to expand past my anger. In, 1, 2, 3. Out, 1, 2, 3. Only when my blood pressure returned to normal levels did I open the door to my new room, instead of hunting down the sharpest knife I could find. As promised, a business card with Dante's assistant's number and a black Amex waited on the nightstand next to a distinctive red ring box. When I popped open the lid, a colorless diamond winked back at me. I brushed my fingers over the dazzling gem. 5 carats, a rare Asher cut, with smaller baguette diamonds adorning each shoulder. I should have been thrilled. The ring was stunning, and judging by the diamond's color and clarity, worth at least $100,000. It was the type of ring most women would kill to have. But when I plucked it from the box and slid it onto my finger, I felt nothing. Nothing except the cool brush of platinum and a heavy weight that felt more like a prison than a promise. Most engagement rings were a symbol of love and commitment. Mine was the equivalent of a signature on a merger contract. A strange tightness gripped my throat. I shouldn't have expected anything more than what Dante gave me. Some arranged marriages, like my sister's, turned into real love, but the overall odds weren't great. I sank onto the bed. The tightness spread from my throat to my chest. It was stupid to feel sad. So what if Dante had proposed in the most impersonal way possible? I'd known since our first meeting we wouldn't mesh. At least he'd been honest about his intentions and boundaries. Still, a part of me had hoped our previous interactions were flukes and we would gradually warm up to each other. But no, my future husband was simply a jerk. The buzz of a new text interrupted my wallowing. I picked up my phone, expecting another congratulatory message or a reminder from Isabella to invite her over once I settled in. Instead, I saw a text from the last person I'd expected to hear from.
Heath. Happy Pumpkin Hot Chocolate Day. Smiley face.
I stared at the words, waiting for them to disappear like I'd accidentally conjured them. They didn't. My stomach twisted. Of all the days he could have texted out of the blue, it had to be today, right after I moved into Dante's house. The universe possessed a sick sense of humor. There were a million things I wanted to say, but I stuck with something safe and neutral. Me. Do they have those in California?
Heath. Pumpkin hot chocolate? Nah. Heath. You're only allowed to drink smoothies and green juices here, or you'll get voted off the island.
My small smile faded as quickly as it appeared. We shouldn't be talking, but I couldn't bring myself to block him.
Heath. I've been emailing Bonnie Sue's every day, asking them to open shop in SF, but no dice so far.
A pang hit me at the mention of Bonnie Sue's. It was a popular cafe near Columbia, where Heath and I had attended undergrad. It was famous for its seasonal pumpkin hot chocolate. And even though I didn't like pumpkin and he didn't like hot chocolate, we'd showed up every year for its annual return in mid-September. Forget the fall equinox. The real first day of fall was the day the drink reappeared on Bonnie Sue's menu. Me. It'll happen. Persistence always wins. Guilt ballooned in my chest as Heath and I exchanged more small talk. He asked about my job and the city. I asked about his dog and the weather in San Francisco. It was our longest conversation in years. Normally, we only texted each other on holidays and birthdays, and we never talked on the phone. It was easier to pretend we were casual acquaintances that way, even though we were anything but. Heath Arnott. My college best friend. My ex-boyfriend. And my first love. Once upon a time, I thought we'd get married. I'd convinced myself we would overcome my parents' objections and live happily ever after. But our breakup 2 years ago proved my hopes had been just that. Hopes. Flimsy and insubstantial in the face of my parents' wrath. I shook off memories of that day and tried to refocus. Me. How's your company doing? After our breakup, Heath moved to California and expanded his language learning app into the powerhouse it was today. The last time I checked, it was one of the top 15 most downloaded apps in the US.
Heath. Pretty amazing. We're going public at the end of this year. Heath. We're expecting a big IPO. Perhaps
The 3 dots that indicated he was typing popped up, disappeared, then popped up again.
Heath, we can revisit things after it does?
My guilt hardened into dread. He didn't know about the engagement. I hadn't posted about it online. We didn't have mutual friends anymore, and Heath didn't follow the society pages, which meant I had to tell him. I couldn't lie by omission and let him think there was a chance of us getting back together.
Heath, if you want to, of course.
I could practically see him pushing his hand through his hair the way he always did when he was nervous. My teeth dug into my bottom lip. I knew part of the reason he'd worked so hard on the startup was to prove my parents wrong. They'd been furious when they found out I'd kept our relationship from them for years, and even more furious when they discovered Heath didn't come from an appropriate background. At the time, he'd made a good living as a software engineer who'd worked on his app on the side. But he wasn't a Russo or a Young. My father had threatened to disown me if I didn't end things with Heath. And in the end, I'd chosen family over love. Heath probably thought my parents would change their minds after his company went public and he became a millionaire. I didn't have the heart to tell him they wouldn't. My family had plenty of money, but we were nouveau riche. No matter how much we donated to charity or how many zeros we had in our bank accounts, certain parts of society would always remain closed to us. Unless we married into old money. Heath would never be old money, which meant my parents would never approve of him as a love match. Just tell him. I eased a deep breath into my lungs before I bit the bullet. Me. I'm engaged. It wasn't the smoothest transition, but it was short, clear, and direct. I resisted falling back into my childhood habit of biting my nails while I waited for a reply. It never came. Me. It happened a few weeks ago. My parents set it up. Me. I meant to tell you earlier. I should stop, but I couldn't hold back my text version of word vomit. Me. The wedding is in a year. Crickets. 5 minutes passed, but my phone remained dark and silent. I let out a small groan and tossed it to the side. I shouldn't feel guilty. Heath and I broke up a long time ago, and honestly, I was surprised he wanted a second chance. I would have thought... A soft knock interrupted the chaos of my thoughts. I sucked in another lungful of air and smoothed my expression into one of polite neutrality before I answered. Come in. The door opened, revealing distinguished silver hair and a perfectly pressed black suit. Edward, Dante's butler.
Miss Vivian, Mr. Dante requested I take you on a full tour of the house,
He said, his British accent as crisp as his clothes.
Is now a good time, or would you like me to return at an hour of your choosing?
I glanced at my phone, then at the cold, beautiful room around me. Like it or not, this was now my home. I could lock myself in my suite, throw a pity party, and agonize over the past. Or I could try and make the most of my situation. I stood and summoned a smile that felt only mildly forced. Now is perfect. That night, Dante and I ate our first meal together as a couple. I meant that in the loosest sense of the word. I wore his ring, and we lived under the same roof, but the chasm between us made the Grand Canyon look like an ordinary hole in the ground. I made a valiant attempt to close it. I love your art collection, I said. The paintings are beautiful, except for the one that looks like cat vomit. The piece, titled Magda, was so out of place in his gallery I did a double take when I saw it. Do you have a favorite piece? It wasn't the most inspired topic, but I was grasping at straws. So far, I'd pulled 6 words out of Dante, 3 of which had been past the salt. He was basically 2 devolutions away from being a nicely dressed mime.
I don't play favorites.
He cut into his steak. My teeth clenched, but I swallowed my irritation. Since our less-than-stellar interaction during my move-in, I'd moved past the shock and anger stages of our engagement into resignation. I was stuck with Dante, whether I liked it or not. I had to make the most of it. If we didn't... Images of cold days, lonely nights, and fake smiles filled my head. My stomach tightened with unease before I took a sip of water and tried again. What are your expectations in private? His knife and fork paused over his plate.
Excuse me?
A noticeable reaction. Progress. Earlier, you said we'll play the part of a loving couple in public and warned me to, quote-unquote, get rid of any romantic notions I may have of us falling in love. But we never discussed what our private lives would look like beyond separate bedrooms, I said. Do we eat dinner together every night? Discuss our work problems? Go grocery shopping and argue over which brand of wine to buy?
No, no, and no.
He said flatly.
I don't grocery shop.
Of course you don't.
We'll live our lives separately. I'm not your friend, therapist, or confidant, Vivian. Tonight's dinner is simply because it's your first night and I happen to be home.
His knife and fork moved again.
Speaking of which, I have a business trip in Europe coming up. I leave in 2 days. I'll be gone for a month.
He might as well have slapped me in the face. I stared at him and waited for him to tell me it was a joke. When he didn't, a surge of indignation washed away my attempts to play nice. A month? What type of business trip requires you to be gone for a month?
The type that makes me money.
The indignation fanned into anger. He wasn't even trying. Maybe the business trip was legitimate, but I move in and he leaves for a month? The timing was too convenient to ignore. You have plenty of money already, I snapped, too annoyed to mince words. But you clearly don't have an interest in even being civil, so why are you here? Dante cocked an eyebrow.
This is my house, Vivian.
I mean here. This engagement. I gestured between us. You avoided my question the first time, but I'm asking again. What could you possibly get out of our match that you couldn't get on your own? Lau Jules was a big company, but the Russo Group eclipsed it tenfold. It didn't make sense. My father told me it had something to do with market access in Asia, which was admittedly Lau Jules' strong point and the Russo Group's weak one. But was that important enough for Dante to upend his personal life for? His expression stiffened.
It doesn't matter.
Considering it's the reason we're together, I think it does.
No, it doesn't. Why do you care about the reason we're together?
His voice turned cold, mocking.
You'll marry me either way. The dutiful daughter who does everything her daddy says. I could be gone for the next year until our wedding and you'd still go through with it, wouldn't you?
An icy claw of shock snatched the breath from my lungs. I didn't know how the conversation had escalated so quickly. But somehow, without trying, Dante had hit me right in the ugliest, most undesirable part of myself. The part I loathed but couldn't shake. Now I understand. I fought for calm, but a tremble of anger bled through. An arranged marriage is the only way you could get someone to marry you. You are so... I struggled to find the right word. Horrible! Not my best work, but it'd do. Dark amusement slid through his eyes.
If I'm so horrible, then tell your family the wedding's off.
He nodded at my phone.
Call them right now. We'll move you back into your apartment like this never happened.
It was equal parts challenge and seduction. He didn't think I would do it, but his voice was so rich and coaxing it almost compelled me to obey. My fingers curled around my fork. The metal dug into my skin, cold and unforgiving. I didn't touch my phone. I wanted to even more than I wanted to toss my wine in Dante's smug face. But I couldn't. My father's anger, my mother's criticism, the failure if I didn't go through with the wedding. I couldn't do it. Dante's amusement disappeared into the tense atmosphere. Something sparked in his eyes. Disappointment? Disapproval? It was impossible to tell.
Exactly,
He said softly. The finality of that word cut deeper than a freshly honed knife. We finished dinner in silence, but my steak had lost its flavor. I washed it down with more wine and let the warmth eat away at my shame.
Chapter 8. Dante. Despite what Vivian thought, I'd scheduled my Europe trip before she moved in. A majority of Russo Group brands were headquartered on the continent, and I blocked off a month every year to hold in-person meetings with the heads of our European subsidiaries. This year's timing just happened to be extremely convenient. However, I made sure to keep tabs on Luca and Vivian while I was gone. I'd assigned Luca a sales role at one of our jewelry subsidiaries' retail stores. He was a people person, and putting him in a back office somewhere would only spell disaster for him and the store in question. According to the store manager, he had a rough start. My brother had never been punctual, but by the time I returned to New York, he seemed to have settled, albeit begrudgingly, into his new role. Vivian, on the other hand, had taken to her new surroundings like a duck to water. Greta and Edward gushed about her in every report, and I came home to find a new painting in the gallery, towels monogrammed with D&V in the bathrooms, and fucking flowers everywhere.
Dante, relax your expression.
Winona said.
Give me a smile. That's it. Perfect.
The camera shutter clicked in rapid succession. Vivian and I had spent the morning taking engagement photos in Central Park. It was as excruciating as I'd imagined, filled with fake smiles and faker embraces as Winona guided us into poses designed to show off how in love we were.
Vivian, put your arms around his neck and move closer.
I stiffened when Vivian obliged and took a tentative step toward me.
Closer! I can practically drive a tractor between you right now.
Winona joked. Do as she says so we can get this over with. I ground out. The sooner I put more distance between us, the better.
You grow more charming every day.
Vivian's voice was so sweet I could have drizzled it over pancakes.
Europe truly did wonders for your personality. Closer!
Winona encouraged. If she picked up on our hostility, she didn't acknowledge it.
One more step.
Vivian's breasts grazed my chest when she closed the remaining gap between us. My muscles went rigid.
Dante, put your arms around Vivian.
For fuck's sake. Since I just wanted to get the torture over with, I set my jaw and placed my hands on Vivian's hips. Heat seared through the silk of her dress, and her damned apple scent crawled into my lungs again. Neither of us moved, afraid the slightest shift would inadvertently bring us even closer. I received an interesting call from my accountant when I was in Paris. I said in an effort to distract myself from our disturbing proximity. $100,000 charged to my Amex in one day, including $10,000 on flowers. Care to explain?
You gave me a black Amex. I used it.
Vivian said with an elegant shrug.
What can I say? I like flowers. And shoes.
Translation, you were an asshole before you left, and I took it out on your bank account. A subtle but petty act of revenge. Good for her. There was no one more irritating than someone who didn't stand up for herself. Clearly, I said, trying not to breathe too deep so her scent didn't envelop me completely. And the towels?
They were a gift from my mother.
Of course they were.
Let me know in advance the next time you leave for a month,
she said.
I want time to plan a party, redecorate the living room, maybe come up with a robust shopping list. It's amazing how much you can do with no spending limit.
I narrowed my eyes. I didn't care about the credit card usage. Luca once spent $1 million on a ridiculous 24-karat solid gold bathtub for a pajama party. $100,000 was nothing. What pissed me off was the way Vivian rearranged everything while I was gone. The towels and flowers were just the tip of the iceberg. There was new art on the walls, aromatherapy piping through hidden diffusers in a massage room where the gift wrapping room used to be. I left for a month and came back to find my home transformed into a fucking Club Med. You had a good time while I was gone, did you? A dangerous current twined around my words.
I had a wonderful time.
Vivian threaded her fingers through my hair and tugged hard enough to hurt. She smiled.
The house has been so pleasant without all the scowls and grunts.
Here I thought you'd miss me. I tisked. I'm hurt.
I would apologize, but catering to your feelings isn't part of our arrangement. It's just a business deal. Remember?
A reluctant smile touched my mouth. Touché.
Look at you two. So sweet.
Wynonna sighed.
Dante, why don't you give her a kiss on the lips? It'll be the perfect photo to wrap up the shoot.
My smile disappeared. Vivian went stiff in my arms.
That's not necessary,
she said quickly.
We don't like PDA. There's no one here except us,
Wynonna pointed out. I'd pulled some strings and reserved swaths of the park for the photo shoot. I hated public crowds. Too loud, too unpredictable, too there.
Yes, but...
Vivian faltered. She looked like a rabbit caught in headlights. Annoyance flared at her horrified expression. I didn't want to kiss her, but I didn't appreciate how she acted like kissing me was the equivalent of getting bitten by a poisonous snake.
We really don't feel comfortable kissing in front of any third party,
Vivian finally finished. She tried to step back, but my hold on her hips prevented her from doing so. My annoyance deepened. We'd agreed to play the part of a loving couple in public, but she wasn't acting particularly loving.
If you don't want to, that's fine, but it's not an engagement shoot without a kiss.
Wynonna looked puzzled by our hesitation.
I promise I won't be scandalized. Right.
Vivian scraped her teeth across her bottom lip. Christ, if she waffled any harder, she'd have a prime spot on Sarah Beth's brunch menu, syrup and all. Instead of waiting for her to make a decision sometime in the next century, I dipped my head and brushed my mouth over hers. Softly, just long enough to hear the camera shutter click again. Vivian's body morphed from stiff to rigid. Her lips parted on a sharp inhale, and I tasted something sweet flavored with a hint of spices. My blood thrummed. It was just supposed to be a quick kiss for the camera. I should pull back, but her mouth was so warm and soft I couldn't resist another taste. And another. Before I knew it, my hand slid up of its own accord. My fingers sank into her hair and evoked an overwhelming urge to deepen the kiss, to wrap my fist around all that silk and tug until her mouth opened fully for me, letting me explore and plunder at my will. My blood thrummed louder. I blamed my senseless actions on the month apart. Absence made the heart grow fonder and all that crap. It was the only plausible reason why kissing Francis Lau's daughter didn't make me want to scrub bleach all over myself. Vivian tilted her chin up a fraction, giving me better access.
We got the shot!
Wynonna's voice yanked us apart as suddenly and violently as if someone had fired a gun. 1 second we were kissing. The next, my hands were gone from Vivian's hip and hair, her arms had dropped from around my neck, and my heart was racing like I'd just completed an Ironman triathlon. Vivian and I stared at each other for a frozen second, before quickly looking away. The kiss had lasted less than a minute, but my mouth turned with the imprint of her lips. Heaviness settled on my skin like a cashmere blanket as Winona rose from her crouching position.
You two might be the most photogenic couple I've ever worked with.
She grinned.
I can't wait for you to see the final photos. Thank you.
Vivian said, her face pink.
I'm sure they'll be great.
Are we done? I removed my jacket and ignored her reproving look. We'd done the damn shoot. What more did she want? And why was it so fucking hot in the middle of October?
Yes, I'll email you a link to the gallery in 2 weeks.
Winona said, unfazed by my curt reply.
Congratulations again on your engagement.
Vivian thanked her again while I brushed past her toward the stairs leading away from Bethesda Terrace. I needed to put more distance between us immediately. Unfortunately, Vivian soon fell into step with me again, and we walked in silence toward one of the park exits while I cursed myself for my lapse of judgment. Not just the kiss, but the photoshoot altogether. I should have hired someone to Photoshop us into the park. That way I wouldn't have to deal with this. The restless buzz beneath my skin. The tightening of my muscles when her scent wafted into my nose. The memory of her mouth on mine. It wasn't about the kiss, which we'd had to do if we didn't want to arouse Winona's suspicion. It was about the fact I'd lingered. Vivian finally spoke when we passed through the exit onto 79th and 5th.
About the kiss back there.
It was for the photo. I didn't look at her.
I know, but...
Are you hungry? I nodded at the food cart on the corner of the street. I would rather bathe in acid than discuss what happened. Vivian sighed but dropped the subject.
I could use some food.
She admitted. Her eyebrows winged up when I stopped in front of the food cart.
What are you doing?
Buying breakfast? I pulled a crisp 20 out of my wallet. 2 coffees and signature bagels, keep the change. Thanks, Omar. While I wanted to get away from Vivian as soon as possible, I was damn hungry. We'd woken up too early for breakfast, and I couldn't buy food without getting some for her too. I was an asshole, not a bore. I turned to find her staring at me like I'd sprouted horns and feathers in the middle of 5th Avenue. What?
You're on a first-name basis with the owner.
Obviously. I slid my wallet back into my pocket. I run here in the mornings when I have time, and I've tried all the breakfast carts around the park. Omar's the best.
Here I thought you only ate caviar and human hearts.
Don't be ridiculous. Caviar tastes awful with human hearts. Vivian's laugh evoked a strange sensation in my chest. Heartburn? Investigate later. I took the food and handed one of the paper cups and wrapped bagels to her. I pay for quality, not price. Expensive doesn't always equal good, especially when it comes to food.
For once, we agree.
She followed me to a nearby bench and tucked her dress beneath her thighs before sitting.
We should check the temperature in hell.
The corner of my mouth kicked up, but I flattened it before she noticed.
One of my favorite restaurants before it closed was this tiny little place in Boston's Chinatown.
Vivian said hesitantly, like she was deciding whether or not to share the information with me even as the words left her mouth.
If you weren't looking for it, you'd miss it. The decor looked like something out of the early 90s, and the floors were suspiciously sticky. But they had the best dumplings I'd ever tasted.
Curiosity got the better of me. Why did it close?
The owner died, and his son didn't want to take it over. He sold it to someone who turned it into an electronics repair shop.
A wistful note entered her voice.
My family and I ate there every week. But I guess we would have stopped going even if it had stayed open. They only go to Michelin-starred places now. If they saw me eating from a food truck, they'd have a coronary.
I took a slow sip of coffee as I processed what she said. I'd assumed Vivian was fully under her parents' thumb, but judging by her tone, all was not perfect in the Lau family. My brother and I used to go to this place in Midtown when we were kids, I said. Moondust Diner. The neighborhood was a tourist trap, but the diner had the best milkshakes in the city. $2, glasses almost as big as our heads. We went there every week after school until our grandfather found out. He was furious. Said Russos don't frequent cheap diners and assigned someone to walk us home straight after school. We never went back after that. I'd never told anyone about the diner. But since she shared about the dumpling shop, I felt compelled to reciprocate. The kiss really had fucked with my head.
$2 milkshakes? I would have been a dentist's nightmare.
Vivian joked. Mine wasn't my biggest fan either. The Moondust Diner still existed, but I wasn't a kid anymore. My sweet tooth had faded, and I didn't have time for trips down nostalgia lane. We ate quietly for another minute before I said, "Things must have changed quite a bit after your father's business took off." I could always use more intel on the Laos, and if anyone knew Francis well, it was his daughter. At least, that was the reason I gave myself for not leaving, even though I'd finished my food.
That's an understatement.
Vivian traced the rim of her coffee cup with her finger.
When I was 14, my mother sat me down for the talk. It wasn't about sex. It was about expectations for who I should and could date. I was free to be with anyone I wanted as long as they met certain criteria. That was also the day I found out I was expected to have an arranged marriage if I didn't find anyone suitable within a certain time.
I'd suspected as much. New money families like the Laos typically tried to enhance their social status through marriage. Old money families did it too, but they were more subtle about it. I take it your parents weren't fans of your exes? If they were, Vivian and I wouldn't be engaged.
No.
A shadow passed over her face.
What about you? Any exes you thought about marrying?
I wasn't interested in marriage.
I'm not surprised.
I slanted a glance at her. Meaning?
Meaning you're a control freak. You probably hated, and still hate, the idea of someone coming in and upending your life. The more people in the household, the harder it is to control your surroundings.
My shock must have been evident because Vivian laughed and gave me a half-teasing, half-smug smile.
It's pretty obvious in the way you run your household,
she said.
Plus, during meals, you're anal about your foods not touching. You put the meat on the upper left side of your plate, vegetables on the upper right, and carbs and grains on the bottom. You did it at my parents' house and on my first night at your place before you left for Europe.
She sipped her coffee, managing to look regal even while drinking from a paper cup.
Control freak,
she summarized. Reluctant admiration swept through me. Impressive. I'd been particular about my foods touching since I was a child. I didn't know why. The sight and texture of mixed foods just made my skin crawl.
It comes with the job,
Vivian said.
Event planning requires strong attention to detail, especially when you're dealing with the types of clients I have.
Rich, entitled, needy. She didn't need to say it for me to know what she meant. Why event planning instead of the family business? I was genuinely curious. Vivian shrugged.
I like jewelry as a consumer, but I have no interest in the corporate side of the business,
she said.
Running Lao Jewels wouldn't be a creative endeavor. It would be about stockholders, financial reports, and 1,000 other things I don't care about. I hate numbers, and I'm not good at them. My sister Agnes is the one who likes that stuff. She's the company's head of sales and marketing, and when my father retires, she'll take over as CEO.
There won't be a company left to take over after I'm done. A small twist of unease tugged at my gut before I dismissed it. Her father deserved what was coming to him. Vivian and her sister didn't, but ruin and collateral damage went hand in hand. It was the cost of doing business.
What about you? Did you ever want to do something else?
Vivian asked. No. I'd spent my entire life preparing to take over the Russo Group. Pursuing another career path had never even crossed my mind. My father refused to take over the company, so it was up to me to carry on the Russo tradition. I said. Abnegating was never an option.
Your father could, but you couldn't? Seems unfair.
There's no such thing as fairness in the business world. Besides, my father would have been shit as CEO. He's the type of guy who cares more about being liked than getting the job done. He would have run the company into the ground within years, and my grandfather knew it. That was why he didn't push him into taking an executive role. The words came out of their own accord. I wasn't sure why I was telling Vivian about my family. An hour ago, I would have rather jumped off the Empire State Building than spend another minute playing nice with her. Maybe the kiss had short-circuited my brain, or maybe it was because this was my first moment of semi-peace since my grandfather died. The past few months had been headache after headache. Funeral arrangements, Francis's blackmail, Luca's bullshit, the engagement and Europe trip and regular business and social obligations I had to keep up with. It was nice to sit and breathe for a minute. Speaking of my parents, they'd like to meet you, I said. Introducing Vivian to them was a headache I'd hoped to avoid, though I'd known the chances of fending them off for a year or however long it took to break the engagement were slim. We're spending Thanksgiving with them. According to Christian's report, the Laos weren't big on Thanksgiving, so Vivian shouldn't be too upset about missing the holiday with her family. Not that I cared if she was.
Okay.
She paused, obviously waiting for more information. When I didn't provide any, she asked,
Do your parents live in New York?
A little farther. I tossed my empty coffee cup in a nearby trash can. Bali. For now. My parents hadn't spent more than 3 consecutive months in one place in decades. Vivian's mouth parted.
You want us to fly to Bali to meet your parents for Thanksgiving?
We'll be there for a week. We'll leave the Sunday prior and come back the following Monday.
Dante,
She sounded like she was struggling to keep calm.
I can't just go to Bali for a week with less than 2 months' notice. I have a job. Plans.
It's a holiday weekend, I said impatiently. What are you planning? The Macy's Thanksgiving parade? She crumpled her bagel wrapper with a white-knuckled hand.
I have to be back that Monday morning for a client meeting. I'll be tired, jet-lagged.
Then we'll leave Saturday instead. My parents were the ones who'd insisted we stay a week. Vivian's work gave me a good excuse to cut out early. We're taking my jet, and we'll be staying at my parents' villa. It's not a big deal. We're going to Bali, for fuck's sake. Everyone wants to go to Bali.
That's not the point. We should be consulting each other on this type of stuff. You're my fiancé, not my boss. You can't just tell me to jump and expect me to jump.
God, this was tedious. Considering I'm the one who paid for your shoes and flowers, I think I can do exactly that. I knew it was the wrong thing to say the second the words left my mouth, but it was too late to take them back. Vivian stood abruptly. A breeze blew her skirt around her thighs, and a passing jogger gawked at her until I chased him off with a glare.
Thank God you showed your true colors again,
she said, her cheeks flushed.
I was beginning to think you were human.
She threw out her cup and wrapper.
Thank you for breakfast. Let's never do this again.
She walked away, her shoulders stiff. Behind his cart, Omar shook his head and frowned at me. I ignored him. Who cared if that had been an asshole thing to say? I'd already let my guard down more than I should have that morning. Vivian was the daughter of the enemy, and I would do well to remember that. I stayed on the bench for a while longer, trying to recapture the magic from earlier, but the peace was gone. When I returned home, I found a check waiting on my bedside table for exactly $100,000.
All right. Well, that has been chapters 8, 9, or 7, 8, and 9. Sorry. Of King of Wrath. Man, dude, I don't know what Homeboy's angle is. It's like, do you really not hate her? Like, is she that bad? Is she ugly or something? You know, like, I would think if you got a pretty wife that, arranged marriage situation, you would kind of be enthusiastic about it, try to make it work, something. I don't know. Maybe dude's just an asshole. I don't know. Maybe he's trying to play at some game. I have no idea. I'm excited to see where this is going to go because I want to know what he's playing at. Like, bro, do you actually like her? Do you not? Are you just playing hard to get? Are you being a weirdo? I don't know. You guys let me know what you think about it in the comments, though. But that's going to be today's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. I will see you guys on Friday. Yes. Tomorrow should be the free Patreon Day episode. So I'll see you guys on Friday. And yeah, love you guys all and peace.